So now what's going to happen is about 1100 to 1200, okay, around this time, a new force is something called Hermetic capitalism is going to come into being, okay? Why? Because Hermetic philosophy is the most intuitive understanding of the universe. The Bible are the most powerful stories in the universe. And so what Isaac Luria, who is a Jewish rabbi, what he's going to do is he's going to combine the two together. Meaning he's going to take the stories of the Bible and explain it using Hermetic philosophy. Okay? So let me give an example. Story of Adam and Eve in the Bible. Great story. All right? God created Adam, and then from Adam created Eve, and told the two together, and told the two, this is the Garden of Eden, this is paradise, you'll never die, you'll always have enough to eat, you guys can have sex every day, but there's only one thing I ask you not to do, and it's like, don't eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge. And that's it, guys. That's all you have to do. Don't do that. And then, of course, they eat that stupid fruit, and they get banished from the Garden of Eden. Okay? So this is a story of the Bible. And the question that's plagued many religious scholars for thousands of years is, why did they screw up? Okay? And now what they're going to do is they're going to take Hermetic philosophy and explain the story of Adam and Eve using Hermetic philosophy. Okay? And this explanation. The explanation is, in the beginning, God was everything. Okay? God was everything. God is eternal, immutable, perfect. But it wants to know itself. It's curious. It wants to expand itself. Okay? And God is the will to bestow. The will to give, the giver. But if you are the will to bestow, then you need something to give it to. You need something to give yourself to, okay? So what God does, he contracts, he starts to build the universe. The first being that he creates is something called Adam Kadmon. Okay, which becomes the will to receive, okay, or the ego. Does that make sense, guys? Okay? So God, in order to bestow, must create a new being called Adam Kadmon, so that he can bestow himself onto Adam Kadmon. Okay? The problem, though, is that Adam Kadmon is the ego, so he can only see the world through the lens of selfishness. God is love. God is forgiveness. God is generosity. So God wants to give. But Adam's like, why do you want to give to me? All right? So the analogy is, let's just say I invite you to my house. And I am honored that you're coming to my house, and I cook you a wonderful meal. Okay? 12 courses. It's sumptuous. You come into my house and you are shocked. You're embarrassed by my generosity. You run away because you think to myself, does he want to borrow money from me? Like why is he being so nice to me, okay? It scares you. And that's why Adam and Eve disobeyed God, because they were embarrassed by the generosity of God. They were too immature. They were too egotistical, too selfish to appreciate the generosity of God. Okay? And so when this happens, when Adam and Eve betrayed God, this is something called breaking the world. And the point of the universe is to repair the world. How do you repair the world? By making yourself so enlightened that you can now receive the generosity of God and create a reunion, okay? That is the repair of the world, a reunion. Now, there are different ways in which you can do this, okay? The way they teach you is just basically self-enlightenment. Through education, through knowledge. Another way is love, okay? Love thy neighbor. Embark on a journey, a lifelong journey, to be as nice and kind to people as possible. Okay? The modern term for this is, of course, called social justice. All right? Try to save as many people as possible. But there's a third way, and the third way is the most controversial, which is the idea of sin. Okay? And the idea of sin is you must break yourself before you can learn the wisdom to welcome God into your heart. And the story that explains this idea is the story of David. Okay? King David was the greatest ruler of the Israelites. And one day he falls in love with a woman named Bathsheba. And David is king because he's close to God. God favors him, okay? He falls in love with Bathsheba. The problem, okay, and so Bathsheba and David have sex. Bathsheba becomes pregnant. The problem is that Bathsheba is already married to a warrior named Uriah the Hittite. So David thinks of many ways of solving this problem, and ultimately he decides, I'm just going to kill this guy, okay? So he kills Uriah the Hittite, and he marries Bathsheba. And he's very happy, and Bathsheba's going to give birth to their son. God learns about this and sends his prophet Nathan to David and says, King David, do you know what you've done wrong? And David's like, not really. I mean, what did I do wrong? I don't know. So God gets angry and punishes David by killing his son. And this forces David into mourning. And when he mourns, he breaks his heart. When he breaks his heart, he welcomes God back into his soul. And the two become the best of friends. Because every day now, David is praying to God, and God is answering him. David has given up all the material desires of this world and fully embraced God. He's humbled himself before God. He's become God's servant. Every day he asks for forgiveness. He's engaged in poetry, in prayer. Okay? So the Israelites remember David not as a great conqueror, not as a great king, but as a man who understood his humility, who always asked for forgiveness, who was best friends with God. Okay? And this is the idea of repairing the world. Nothing matters except your relationship with God. The whole world could be a nuclear war. Doesn't matter. Okay? What matters is your true faith in God. And so from these three things, we now understand what's going on in Gaza and the Middle East, where the Israelis think that, hey, if I break the world and I force the entire world to hate me, and I sin so much that I suffer, that's a good thing, because that's going to let me develop a closer relationship with God, and this will repair the world. But, and this is really important, okay? We also need to appreciate is that there are also Jews and who are more numerous than the Israelis who think, no, that's wrong. What's important is the idea of social justice, okay? To stand for what is right. That's why during what was happening in Gaza, if you go to American universities, the protesters, most of them were actually Jews, protesting what's happening in Israel. Okay? So this shows you the diversity and debate within the Jewish tradition. But it also tells us they're actually looking for the same thing. Okay? What they're looking for is reunion with God. Now, why I bring this up is that the idea of the Kabbalah, because it's able to take the stories of the Bible and make it mystical and give it a deeper meaning, the Kabbalah has become the most powerful mystical tradition in the world. It becomes the basis for most secret societies, especially the Freemasons, okay? Which control America. Okay. And the thing about the Kabbalah that we need to appreciate is that it's different from other occult traditions in that it's sexual in nature, okay? You are moving towards a synthesis. You're moving towards a reunion with God. And the sexual aspect to the Kabbalah is what energizes, galvanizes people into action. Okay? The sexual nature comes from its physicality, its corporality, okay? Corporality. The fact that you can feel it, the fact that you can touch it. Most mystical traditions are just monks meditating, okay? Meditating and trying to achieve the divine. But the Kabbalah is about achieving the stories of the Bible, becoming David, okay? Becoming Moses, becoming Isaac, Joseph. All right? So because of the Kabbalah, the eschatology becomes sexual in nature. Because it's sexual in nature, it energizes us, okay? It becomes very urgent and immediate. And that helps us explain why things are happening so fast. Because the people involved, these secret societies, they're trying to climax as soon as possible, okay? They believe that the faster I move, the more I'll be able to reunite with God, okay? So they want to accelerate. This is accelerationism, okay? Accelerationism. All right? Okay, you have a question?
I think if the people in the secret society see, they need to see the Kabbalah as a sexual thing, I think the condition that they must have a strong belief. But I think a belief is rational. How can it be sexual to them, just like the sex of human? That it's sort of a sense of biological.
Okay. Okay. I hate to say this, but you're way too young to understand what's going on. Okay. It's hard for me to explain to you using theory. You just have to know this. Okay. Belief is not abstract. Okay, belief is your soul, your heart. Belief is what your soul aspires to. And for most of human history, most religious traditions believe that the soul was divine. Okay, it was not material. It's removed from the material. The Kabbalah, by almost an accident, it makes the soul almost have a sexual urge. Okay, so it drives the soul to action. All right. Again, I can't explain this to you. You either know this or you don't know this. Okay? All right. Okay. So this is the eschatology.